It's wild.
What's the difference between overweight and obese? Do you know the definition for that?
It depends on what metric you go by, because I use waist height ratio for most of my clients.
BMI doesn't make sense for a very small. I like BMI. Fitness people always rag on it because they're fitness people. But most people don't go to the gym 3 days a week and lift weights. Most people don't do cardio. BMI is actually not a bad metric of measurement. I get in that argument all the time. It's like, well, by BMI, you're fat. Yeah, but I'm an outlier.
As a population level indicator of what you can expect about chronic illness development, longevity, those sorts of things, BMI is scary accurate. On an individual basis, not so much. It's always weird, though. The people that complain about it the most are not the people that are healthy. Although I will say this, if your BMI is over 35, I don't care if it's muscle and you're like 8% body fat, like if you're 100 pounds larger than what you likely should be for your frame, you're unhealthy. I mean, that's a lot of weight to go on your load bearing joints, your back, your knees, your ankles, but also your heart is really only meant to pump blood to so much body. Like there's a thing called the injection fraction. And it's like where your left ventricle pushes out blood, and that's between 35 and 70% on average. Like if you're at 70%, that's considered optimal. Anything higher, and they actually worry about the ventricle collapsing. Anything below 35, it's classically considered you're in congestive heart failure, right? And that just means that it can happen through either blood thickening or just damage to the heart attacks, those sorts of things, right? But say you have it's at 70, but you have 100 pounds, you have probably 70 pounds more muscle than you should likely have on your frame. It's still probably you should consider it 40 or 45. Yeah, because
I'm at 32%. My BMI is 32%.
Yeah, that's, I would argue that you're especially because your waist is still pretty small. Yeah. Waist to height ratio to me is the key that we should go to. They're going to overcomplicate it with, I think it's called the body shape index instead of the body mass index, which is stupid. It's just an extra complication. Yeah. But the waist to height ratio, if you take your waist measurement right below your floating ribs, about 2 fingers above your belly button, all the way around, and divide that under the same unit of measure as your height, it normally comes up with a pretty good indicator of your health. Anything over 0.5, you're in 0.5 to 0.59, you're getting in high risk. And anything over 0.6, you're at high risk. And the best part about waist to height ratio, to me, is that it captures even people that would be considered of a healthy weight, but are built like Homer Simpson. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you've got a large
skinny fat look, like the pudgy belly and the no muscle, the skinny arms. Yeah. I would say that's a picture of like remember the dad bod phase when women find dad bod attractive. It's like, no, they don't. They just don't.